This is a Fox News alert. Donald Trump, the president-elect, is speaking at a donors' dinner. We're going to listen in live.
So this journey started 18 months ago. We worked as much as we can and they know that we is a group of countries. And what a group. This beautiful map, and they had the red states, and that was incredible. Because there were a lot of red states that weren't supposed to be red. A lot of them. But more impressive was there was a map a couple of days after the election, and it showed the red counties, blue counties, and the entire country practically, other than a couple of little points, was red. That was some big victory. That was some victory. And records were set that haven't been beaten since Ronald Reagan from the Republican side, and we've gone back. In Iowa, we had areas that haven't been won since 1952. And we had areas, the folks from Iowa, you know where I'm talking about. They said, you can't possibly win this area, and we won the area. And we have locations, and we have destinations, and I said before, and I was telling some people, the next time, 4 years from now, the next time, we're going to win the old-fashioned way. We're going to win because we did so well, because it was so overwhelming, the thing that we did. Because it was so beautiful how great our cabinet, all of whom are here tonight, how great our cabinet has performed. We have a cabinet, I believe, the likes of which has never been appointed. There's never been a cabinet like this. I will say the other side is going absolutely crazy. They're going crazy. But we have a group of people that I just felt we had to go. Today, as you know, we appointed a Secretary of Agriculture. He happens to be a farmer. He happens to be, oh, there he is. Look at that man. Sonny Perdue. He came into my office 2 months ago. Since then, I saw 10 people that everybody liked, politically correct. And I kept thinking back to Sonny Perdue, a great, great farmer. He loves the farms, knows everything about farming, knows everything about agriculture. He's been successful in farming. He knows the good stuff and the bad stuff. But people came into my office and they said, I'm really wanting the job. I said, let me ask you a question. Do you have any experience with farms or agriculture? No, sir, I don't. I said, have you ever seen a farm? The one gentleman, who's a great guy, we'll find something else, okay? But I can't make him Secretary of Agriculture. But we just named Sonny Perdue, so I want to congratulate you, Secretary of Agriculture. When I was leaving, I just saw General Kelly. And when I was leaving, he's, just to put it in the most basic terms, he's in charge of our borders. And they had on all of the stations that lots of things are happening along the borders. Like there's tremendous security all of a sudden. And there are guards. Even before he gets there, they're saying, wow, what a difference. What a difference. You know, I was very honored to get border security, all of the Border Patrol agents, they endorsed Trump. We had 16,500. ICE endorsed Trump. And they know what's happening, or they've already started, because General Kelly is going to do an unbelievable job in keeping us all safe. And speaking of safety, we have General Mattis. Now, I don't know if he likes being called Mad Dog Mattis, so I will not call him Mad Dog Mattis. I'll just call him General Mattis, but he's here someplace. He is going to keep us safe. In fact, it was the shortest senatorial interview I've ever seen. I think they're afraid of him, actually. But just in case you have any question, don't worry, he's going to pass. But the cabinet members are doing really fantastically. I've watched most of it. I've heard most of it. They have really, really done a good job, and I was very proud of them. I'm very, very proud of my picks. There's not a pick that I don't love. And if there was, I'd tell you right now. Probably would, actually. I want to thank the cabinet for being here. I want to thank all of the senators that I see you're here. I want to thank all of our donors. They're big donors, small donors. There are donors that got really, really generous the day after the election was won. Oh, I have a couple. They got so generous. Hi, Don, I just want to tell you, I just sent a big check. Oh, great. Should have sent it a week before. That's okay. We love you, too. They are now officially a member of our party. You know, we've picked up hundreds of thousands and millions of Republicans. Not only did we do great in the election, you remember, we cannot get to 270. They were right. We got to 306. You cannot get. I know CNN I was watching. I was watching all of them, in all fairness. All of them. The main networks, the cable networks. Although Fox has treated us very well, I have to say. Very well. Very well. Very well. And when I say well, by well, I mean fairly. But they were saying you cannot get to 270. I went to Maine 4 times for 1 vote, and I got it, but I didn't need it. But this was a victory for all of us. A victory for all of us. And in the audience, by the way, I see my great brother, and I see Anne Marie. Thank you for being here. I see my sister Marianne and David. Where is there right there? Who happens to be a Court of Appeals judge. She is tough. She is tough, but highly, highly respected. I see my sister Elizabeth, which is great. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy. We actually have a very, very good family. We have a family that gets along. My sons, look at them standing there. I say, why aren't you campaigning today? Eric and Don and Tiffany, who was incredible, and Barron is home. But we had a great group of people, right? We worked hard. In the audience, we have somebody that's under no pressure whatsoever because he's got a great quarterback named Tom Brady and a great coach named Belichick, Bob Kraft. So good luck, Bob. Your friend Tom just called. He feels good. He called to congratulate us. He feels good. Good luck. You're going to do great. Thanks. So I just want to thank everybody. We're going to have 4 incredible years. It's going to be something special. We have in the audience a special person who's worked very hard, who married very well. It's my daughter Ivanka. Where is she? I sort of stole her husband. He is so great. If you can't produce peace in the Middle East, nobody can. Okay? All my life, I've been hearing that's the toughest deal in the world to make. And I've seen it. But I have a feeling that Jared is going to do a great job. I have a feeling he's going to do a great job. So you'll work with him. And one other person I have to thank. So we had actually 18. People said 17 people running. It's 18, including Gilmore. Now, I like Gilmore because he endorsed me right away. Okay, that's good. But he was the governor of Virginia, in all fairness. Is he here? Yeah, he's here. So we had 18 people running, and we had Reince. And I said before, nobody knew how to pronounce his name. It's a crazy name. They called him Rance. Steve Wynn just called him. He's still not pronouncing it right, Steve. But Reince Priebus, now everybody pronounces his name right. He's a star, and I knew that a long time ago. And he had a problem because he sort of liked me. He didn't like me because of my personality. He thought I could win. He thought I could win. Phyllis Schlafly, the great Phyllis Schlafly, you know who that is. So, she's a great woman, was a great woman. Passed away 6 months ago. I went to her funeral in St. Louis. And she came out against all of her fellow conservatives. And she said, I am not endorsing anybody else but Donald Trump. I don't care what exactly he is. He's like an unknown quantity. But he's going to win. And Reince sort of had the same thing. And Reince was taking tremendous abuse. And I want to thank, by the way, Phyllis, because she went through hell. I'm telling you, Phyllis went through hell in that last period of a year. And she turned out to be right. But Reince had the same thing. And Reince sort of, I always felt he favored me. It's like a coach who has a player and you sort of favor. But Reince is fantastic. Reince has been an unbelievable leader. Now, he had to win, because if he didn't win, it was over. He would have been fired. We would have said, Reince, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. But he is an unbelievable leader. He's an unbelievable talent. And he's been my friend, and he's been with me from the beginning. So I want to thank Reince Priebus. And just in finishing up, Tom Barrack called me. Tom Barrack is where's Tom? Got to be around here someplace. Tom Barrack. He's a very, very successful guy. Colony Capital. And he became my party planner. In fact, every time I have a party, are you available? I'm having one in about 2 months, Tom. He and all of his friends, they came to me, they said, we'd like to run it. I said, what the hell do you know about running it? Well, between Stephanie, where's Stephanie? I saw her. There she is. Stephanie, what a job. What a job you did. Thank you. Did he finally come through for you, Stephanie? Tom, thank you. Stephanie, thank you. Your entire group, thank you. So far, it's been perfect. Now, the big one is tomorrow at around 12. Okay? Because we had a thing today. We had a couple of things. Arlington National Cemetery. I don't know if anyone saw it. It was so beautiful. So many people. So many people. It was incredible. So we went there, and we laid the wreath with Mike, and it was beautiful. And then we went to the Lincoln Memorial and had a concert. And we thought it would be a small concert, and tens of thousands of people were there. It went all the way to the back. They never had so many people. And very few people ever had a concert at Lincoln Memorial. But what they pulled off was incredible. It was an unbelievable period of time. But tomorrow seems to be the big one. And I made a speech tonight at the Lincoln Memorial in front of all of those people and all of those live television cameras. I can't stand them. But actually, a couple of them are starting to get honest. But I thought it was a very good speech. And so instead of saying it was a good speech, they're saying, doesn't matter tonight. How will he do tomorrow? They never give you credit. But tomorrow we have a speech, probably around 12 o'clock. It may rain, it may not rain. I don't care. Doesn't matter. I mean, the truth is, if it really pours, that's okay, because people will realize it's my real hair, and that's okay. It's okay. Might be a mess, but they're going to see that it's my real hair. But we have a speech that I wrote and worked with Stephen Miller, who's around here someplace, and Stephen is great. He's been with us from the beginning. Stephen and Hope and Corey and so many people have been so great. And I see my Kellyanne. Oh, Kellyanne. Come here. Come here. Come here, Kellyanne. Get up here. Come here, Kellyanne. She's been so great. Wow. So, there is no den she will not go into. When my men are petrified to go on a certain network, I say, Kellyanne, would you do it? Absolutely, no problem. Then she gets on and she just destroys them. So anyway, thank you, baby. Thank you. Thank you, honey. Be careful. So this is a celebration of victory. You're my friends. We needed this victory. 3 weeks before we won, as you know, it was going to be the single greatest defeat in the history of politics. They predicted that this would be the greatest loss in political history, not even modern political history. They said in political history. And I'll tell you one thing. I outworked everybody. I think I outworked anybody who ever ran for office. I learned that from Belichick, right? But we outworked them. And 3, 4, 5 speeches a day, all over the place. And that last 2 weeks, and the last week especially, there was something that was happening. I told the group today, they canceled their fireworks 2 weeks out. And there was a little story that they spent $7 million on fireworks, and they canceled it. And that's because history has proven that if you're going to lose, you don't want fireworks, right? And that was a good sign, and there were other good signs. But what we did in those last 2 weeks, and especially in that last week, it was fun, and we saw what was going to happen. We were pretty sure we were going to win. But again, thank you all very much. We'll see you. We have an election coming up in 2 years. We're going to get a lot of senators and a lot of congressmen elected. A lot. We're going to get a lot of them elected. Mitch McConnell's here. He's smiling so big he loves those words. And we are going to make America great again, greater than ever before. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Donald Trump unexpectedly speaking at a campaign donors event at Union Station here in Washington. Possibly the last time we will hear from him as a private citizen. Tomorrow, he becomes the president at noon. What can we expect? We're joined now by Fox News chief national correspondent Ed Henry.
Tucker, we can now confirm tonight, Fox News, that Donald Trump is not going to change a bit. Basically, all of this hand-wringing, is he going to have to get more presidential? Is he going to have to change? No. He gets up there and says, I outworked everyone.
Yes.
Kellyanne, come up here. Watch your step, baby. He doesn't care. The words he uses, the language, how he's presenting it, talking about, the name dropping. I just got off the phone with Tom Brady. Belichick's a great coach. There's Bob Kraft, the owner of the Patriots. Steve Wynn is in the crowd. Oh, by the way, this is an event for campaign donors, and you're supposed to kiss their butt at a time like this. But he starts out by saying, some of you guys, you didn't open up the checkbooks until after I won. I got the call from you the day after. I could have used the call a week earlier. And he is not going to change a bit.
But the line of the night, it may rain tomorrow. Who knows? But if it does, you'll know my hair is real.
And he's just going to throw that out there. And when you talk about how all this is going to play out, think about it. About 9:30 in the morning, where is he going to be? He's going to go across the street from Blair House, where dignitaries stay, with the incoming First Lady, Melania Trump, and go have a cup of tea with Barack and Michelle Obama, someone who he was all over for years, fought with bitterly. But now, despite all of the attacks back and forth on Twitter with Chuck Schumer and other Democrats, Hillary Clinton, and the Russians did it, and Comey did it, and John Lewis, Barack Obama and Donald Trump have actually forged a kind of an interesting, if not a friendship, maybe a partnership where they both complemented. They've had sharp words. Let's not gloss over that. But they have tried very hard to put all the rest of the noise aside and make this a peaceful transition of power despite all the noise out there. And so, to be a fly on the wall for that cup of tea between the Obamas and the Trumps. And then, of course, they take the limo ride over. 11 a.m., they should be at the Capitol by then for the swearing in by noon Eastern time. And remember that you're going to have not just Bush 43, because unfortunately Bush 41 is in the hospital and getting better. We all hope and pray. But you're going to have Bill and Hillary Clinton there.
Yes.
Watching Donald Trump being sworn into office and delivering this inaugural address.
A rejection of the legacy, I think is fair to say, of Barack Obama. You can also say about Trump that he is almost exactly the same in person when the cameras are off as he is when you see him on television. You can't say that about any other politician I've been around, whether you like it or not. But when he meets with the Obamas, he's going to be the guy you just saw.
That you just saw, and in front of the campaign donors, the same guy. I was over at the Trump Hotel a little earlier to get some color, and Bob Kraft, who we threw out there, the owner of the Patriots, he's staying there. He's glad-handing with people. And then I ran into basically half of the Trump cabinet walking through the lobby of the Trump International Hotel. It's almost like the shadow White House down the street as they wait for the Obamas to move out. I mean, Mnuchin, you know, the possible Treasury Secretary, still got to get through the hearings.
Yes.
You had Gary Cohn, the former COO of Goldman Sachs, who's going to run the National Economic Council, walking through. Michael Cohen, no relation, who's the chief attorney for Donald Trump. So he's got this sort of shadow cabinet that's already up and running at the hotel 3-4 blocks from the White House. And by the way, Jared Kushner, 35 years old, you mentioned while we were listening to that, did a phenomenal job in the campaign, believing in his father-in-law, using Facebook and other untraditional methods when everyone was laughing at Donald Trump. As he said, you can't get to 270. You're not raising enough money. You're not running enough TV ads. And it was Jared Kushner who calmly, coolly believed. And now his reward is his father-in-law says, I think you can get Mideast peace. No one else has been able to do that. But you know what? I think you could do that. And I'm really hoping, and we're all counting on you. So good luck, Jared.
You know, it's a tall order, of course, and it's failed, you know, for more than half a century.
Democrats, Republicans.
But I have to say, Kushner's real achievement may be thinking for himself. I mean, he comes from a world where I bet not a single person supported Donald Trump. He's from New York. He's from one of the famous real estate families in New Jersey and New York City. He's
kind of a liberal elite world.
Very much a liberal elite world, went to Harvard. Again, he doesn't have peers who share his views.
Absolutely.
And he took a lot of heat for that throughout the entire campaign. Really, you're supporting your father-in-law? He's the opposite of everyone in our world, and he did it anyway.
And he's Jewish, and he had all of these critics of Donald Trump saying your father-in-law is anti-Semitic, his tweets, his this, his that, and yet the son-in-law stood by him every step of the way, has been very loyal, and has been a remarkable lieutenant for him. And now, it's giving up all of these assets and going into blind trust to actually work in the White House, not to be the troubleshooter, the power player on the outside like most people do. He's actually going in and saying, I'm going to roll up my sleeves.
That's exactly
and we're going to try to do this. Right. That's fascinating how that plays out.
You think you're tough? Here's a toughness test. Buck the views of everyone in your social circle. Disagree with everyone you have dinner with on a regular basis and see how that works out. Most people will not do that. Hey, Henry, that was great. Good to see you. Up ahead, there were wild protests in Washington, D.C. tonight. Fires set outside the National Press Club. We're going to take you there live. Griff Jenkins on the scene. Also, Charles Krauthammer will tell us exactly what to expect on day one of the Trump administration. They promised a lot. We'll remind you what it is. We're live from the mall tonight, the National Mall, just hours before the inauguration of our 45th president, Donald Trump. A Fox News alert, massive protests have erupted outside the Deplorable here in Washington. Fires are being set outside the National Press Club. Fox's Griff Jenkins is on the scene with what's happening there. Griff, what is happening?
Hey, Tucker, that's right. Several hundred protesters gathered first at Trump Hotel, and they marched the 7 or 8 blocks here. We're outside the National Press Club, and you can see the police presence. Their signs thanking President Obama, obviously. It's mostly peaceful now. A fire broke out just behind us. There was a fire over here. We'll show you where that was. That's the ashes now, just sort of starting to simmer right in the middle of this. Excuse me one second. Pardon 1 second. Right, This fire was started. In fact, this young man, you were participating in the fire. What's your name?
My name's Connor, and I actually kind of started this fire.
So why'd you start that fire, Carter?
It's Connor.
Sorry, why'd you start that fire?
Because I felt like it, and because I'm just saying, screw our president.
Okay, well, there you have it. So even young people out here, as well as the traditional activists that are out here, and I'm taking you here. There have been about 2 or 3 arrests that we've witnessed, Tucker. We did not witness the tear gas, although we do know there was a little bit of reports of that. Just quickly, Lacey McCauley is the spokeswoman and one of the lead organizers of Disrupt J20. This group is Disrupt J20, a loose collaborative of multiple groups. This is perhaps, Lacey, more of what's to come tomorrow on the eve of the inauguration. Why are you here and why are you doing this?
We're here basically at the very start of the weekend of Disrupt J20, the weekend that Trump takes office, to remind everybody that actually what's behind us up there in the National Press Club ballroom is actually, they are completely part of Trump. They're part and parcel. We're seeing up there in the ballroom, Nazis, the same group that actually you saw last year doing Nazi salutes. We're seeing the so-called alt-right, I call it. And, you know, I think that we have to really be concerned about this dangerous direction that our country is going in.
Let me ask you, Lacey, and you may hear Tucker over our children shouting, booing. They're booing the people going to the ball. Lacey, what about the peaceful transition of power, regardless who has won? Donald Trump has won the election, but you seem to be trying to resist it. Quickly, in 10 seconds, why?
It doesn't matter who won or lost. When you come for our communities, when you come for us, and when you try to violate our rights, we will resist.
All right, they're going to resist. Back to you, Tucker.
Still can't believe you interviewed a little kid who set a fire. I don't know if that was real or not, but that was horrifying. Griff, thanks. Well, coming up, what should we expect the Trump administration to do on its very first day? They promised a lot, maybe more than you remember. Charles Krauthammer remembers, and he joins us next. We're at the mall providing nonstop coverage of the inauguration in a little more than 12 hours. We'll be right back.
Your brain changed.
So what can we expect from President Trump on his very first day, which, by the way, is tomorrow? To answer that question, we're joined by columnist, author, and Fox News contributor, and everyone's favorite person here in D.C., Charles Krauthammer. Charles, great to see you. So,
Good to be here.
I was going through the list of first-day pledges that Donald Trump made on the road, and it is a little longer than I realized. Let's repeal Obamacare, build a wall, stop Syrian immigration, lift the restrictions on oil exploration, goes on, cuts sanctuary city funding, undo all illegal executive actions, get rid of gun-free zones. I mean, I could go on. All of them seem worthy to me. Can they be achieved immediately?
No, they can't. Of course not. That's hyperbole, and that's what you do when you run. That's what you hope you can do. That's a 4-year agenda. It'll take 4 years, if it can be done at all in its entirety. On day one, he'll cancel a few executive orders. That's probably all he can do. The rest you need Congress for. But they have an agenda. Everything that you listed is serious stuff. This is not just a guy who ran on vague, elect me, and, you know, because you'll feel good. This is what I want to do, and it's a serious agenda. Incidentally, can I say a word about that kid who was setting the fire a couple of minutes ago?
That was bizarre.
Yeah, but wouldn't you love to be that kid? Parents who take you out on a, you know, on a winter night, and they encourage you to set fires. I'm sure it would have appealed to the anarchist in you. But it tells you
of course,
how completely weird the parents and the other people out there are. These are the same people who show up at the IMF meetings, the World Bank, the Occupy Wall Street. You ask them, why are you out there? They're completely incoherent. What did that woman say? There are Nazis upstairs at the National Press Club. I mean, these people ought to be medicated.
Well, I think some of them are. But the idea that you would implicate your children in your political activism, you'd be out on the street at 9:30 at night letting your 8-year-old set fires is demented. And it says a lot.
It's got a whiff of ISIS to it.
Yeah, it does. But there is, I mean, you'll notice that virtually everyone we've interviewed on Fox and other channels too, who's involved in these protests, they're all from a certain social class. I mean, you don't get the feeling that they just got off work at Hardee's or driving a truck. I mean, they all seem kind of like the idle class in America to me.
Well, they've been unemployed ever since Occupy Wall Street shut its doors when it got cold. I admire them for actually stepping out during a winter's day. It probably won't last long. By Monday, the wind will have swept them away, and they'll wait for the next international occasion to go out and to act like anarchists, which is what they are, essentially.
But, I mean, you've been here an awful long time. You worked in the Carter administration for Mondale, I think. So you've seen a lot of protests over the years. It seems to me the ones that are successful are the ones with discrete requests. You know, here's what we want specifically. We want you to cancel this. We want you to enact that. I don't understand exactly what the agenda in these protests is.
Well, they really have no agenda, and they really have not. But I think the real culprits here are the people who ought to be the adults, the ones who ought to set an example, and that's the 1/3 of Democrats in Congress who will refuse to attend and actively boycott the inauguration. I think that is scandalous. Inauguration is not the celebration of party victory. It's a kind of civic sacrament for something that is exceedingly rare in the world, which is the transfer of power uninterrupted now for 240 years, the longest anywhere on earth. That's something that you celebrate. And I must say, you know, John Lewis, we all agree, there's no debate that he's a genuine American hero. But heroes can be wrong. We have examples in our history. Charles Lindbergh was a genuine American hero, the most famous man in America throughout the 30s, and he picked the wrong side in World War II. He led the isolationists, and he essentially expressed sympathy for Nazi Germany. You can be wrong. Now, with Lewis, it's not just that he's a hero, but he's a moral hero because he sacrificed and he risked his life for a higher cause. But that doesn't change the fact that he can be wrong, and he shouldn't be leading the boycott because he lends his moral authority to what is a deeply unworthy cause.
But for people under 30, none of that matters because everything is biography and identity, and ideas don't even enter into it, unfortunately. Charles, I appreciate that. Was really a succinct analysis and smart. Thank you.
My pleasure. Great to be with you.
Thanks. Well, up next, one of Donald Trump's most fiery critics is former Clinton Labor Secretary Robert. And a Fox News alert, the infamous drug lord El Chapo has arrived in the United States. He was just offloaded moments ago from a plane in New York. El Chapo ran the Sinaloa drug cartel. He's been connected to thousands of deaths in Mexico's lengthy drug war. He escaped from maximum security prison in Mexico twice. Now he'll face drug trafficking charges here in the United States. Because when Mexico sends its people, they aren't sending their best. They're sending people who have a lot of problems. Well, now back to our coverage of tomorrow's inauguration. Of the many voices on the anti-Trump left, one of the most fiery is former Bill Clinton Labor Secretary Robert Reich. Reich has warned of the impending tyranny of a Trump regime. And he's written what he calls a, quote, resistance agenda for those hoping to stand up to this modern-day Caligula. He also just released a new book called Saving Capitalism for the Many, Not the Few. Secretary Robert Reich joins us now. Bob, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Well, good evening, Tucker. Thank you for inviting me on.
I don't normally do this, but since you're a longtime educator, I just want to begin with a quiz. I'm going to put two short quotes up on the screen. I'm going to read them to you, and I want you to tell me whether they
this is going to be I hope this isn't a gotcha. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's not a gotcha in any way. I just want to know if you can tell which of these came from you and which came from Donald Trump. Okay? Here they are.
Okay.
First, I used to believe in free trade agreements until I took a hard look at the numbers. NAFTA cost U.S. workers almost 700,000 jobs. That's the first. Second is this. Global deals like the Trans-Pacific Partnership will boost the profits of Wall Street and big corporations and make the richest 1% even richer, but they'll contribute to the steady shrinkage of the American middle class. Now, actually, it is a gotcha, it is a trick, because they're both from you. But they both could have been from Donald Trump.
They both sounded vaguely familiar. But
Trump could have said that.
Well, Trump could have said that. And Tucker, I want to say very, very clearly that if Donald Trump and his administration succeed in improving the quality of life of average working people in this country and the poor, and achieving a more peaceful and more prosperous world, I'm all for them. I mean, I'll be right there in the front row cheering them on. And my real concern is that they won't, and I worry about some of his cabinet appointments. I mean, I've never seen an administration so filled with billionaires who have no idea what average working people are contending with. I was labor secretary. I spent a lot of time out in Toledo and in Kansas City and talking with factory workers. And Steve Mnuchin, I don't know. I mean, his record of just taking over banks and sending people out of their homes, and Wilbur Ross, who is going to be Commerce Secretary, he basically took companies and he laid people off. I mean, these are all financiers.
He did, like a lot of employers. Okay, that's true. But I guess what's surprising, I mean, I think that's a fair thing to say. But you're also coming out of the Democratic Party, which has almost unanimous support in this last election from Wall Street, from the billionaire class. You supported a candidate who spent over $1 billion on her own campaign, and who was not in any sense committed to the kind of populist economic reform that you espouse. You are closer to Trump on economics in many ways than you are to Hillary Clinton. And I'm just wondering if partisanship isn't clouding your view of that.
I don't think partisanship is I hope it's not clouding my view, Tucker. I think you're absolutely right. When I have criticized the Clintons for being too close to Wall Street. I supported Bernie Sanders in the Democratic primary because I felt that Bernie Sanders was a populist. He really did care about working people. When about a year and a half ago, at the start of all of this, when I was out in Missouri and Kansas, and I was out on a book tour, actually, I talked to a lot of people in Middle America who were trying to make up their minds between Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders. I mean, there is a huge populist wave. And I think the difference between Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders is Donald Trump is an authoritarian populist, and Bernie Sanders is a progressive populist. And I don't think authoritarianism works in America. I'm worried about authoritarianism, quite frankly.
Well, I am too. And we saw a lot of it in this last administration. Legislating through executive order is a sign, of course, of authoritarian instinct. But here's my point. I understand why all the children in the Democratic Party are spun up about Trump, and he's a Nazi, and he's a sexist. Okay, fine. But they're ignoring the economic critique. I get it. They don't understand it. But the smart people in the party, like you, who've had a consistently populist economic message for all these years, also aren't giving him a chance. And I wonder why. Again, he's closer to you on some key issues, not peripheral stuff, key stuff like trade, than Hillary Clinton. Why wouldn't you say, I'm kind of hopeful on that?
Well, I am saying, I mean, I said just a few moments ago, I'm hopeful, and if he succeeds, I will be the first to cheer him on. I guess what really gives me most pause is when he campaigns, and even after his campaign, when he denigrates members of the press who he disagrees with, who has criticized him, when he sends out tweets disparaging individuals who are critics of him, when he demonstrates a kind of personality that is so vindictive and so small-minded, I get worried because I don't want a president to be vindictive, and I don't want a president to be that kind of authoritarian figure. But if he can get above that somehow, great. You know, let's hope for the best.
What if both are true? What if he's vindictive and small-minded, but he stops TPP? I hope you'll come back. We're out of time. But meditate on that. It would be interesting.
I will.
Thank you.
I will.
Robert Reich.
Thank you, Tucker.
Thanks. Up ahead, Fox's relentless coverage of the inauguration continues, and Jeanine Pirro is here in the Friend Zone. That's coming up. We just made TV history. Unfortunately, it was a commercial break. This is the Friend Zone. We invite our friends on the show, as you know, at the end every night. And tonight, one of our most effervescent, in fact, our most effervescent friend, Judge Jeanine Pirro, host of Justice with Judge Jeanine, just ran here in high heels across the mall, has not had one sip of alcohol tonight,
no.
Yet you are in fuego. What happened?
Well, I ran down 3 streets. I ran down an alleyway, through the mud, through a field, over a fence, then finally got a ride in a pickup truck with 2 security guys and my producer in the back of the truck. And then I ran up here and sat down because I know my mother's watching.
Is that even legal, what you did?
Probably not, but the last guy, I said, look, if you don't give me a ride in this truck, I'm going to hijack it. And this guy is 6'6", he's going to take this truck.
You commandeered a vehicle to get here. I would never had a guest.
Baby, this is
do
Washington.
What you did.
This is a town where you can commandeer. Every siren out there is on tonight. I love this city.
So where were you? Can you tell us?
I was at the Hay Adams, and I was at the Lowe's, and then I was at the, where was I before that? The Hay Adams, the Lowe's, the where else?
Somewhere fashionable. Were you at Trump events?
Jones Day. That's, by the way, have you been at the Jones Day law firm?
Jones Day is a law firm right down there.
It looks like the Federal Treasury
building. It really
does. It doesn't look like a law firm.
It's a little more powerful here than the Treasury.
Yeah, definitely. And then I'm going to the Fairmont, another black tie, after the Lowe's black tie. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. And I interviewed 3 people for my show for Saturday night.
You are out of control. So you have been...
But I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you.
Sweet. Thank you.
No, I'm not sweet, but I'm proud of you.
So you've known Trump an awfully long time. You keyed in on his talents before a lot of people did. You thought he was being president before a lot of people. Yeah. And yet people in your world in New York didn't agree with you. Are you seeing some of those people tonight at these parties?
Yes. You know, and I find it fascinating that these people all of a sudden are Trump people because now he's the president. And I want to say to them, you know what? You didn't believe in him. You made fun of him. You thought because he wasn't of the political class that he isn't a guy entitled to be in the White House. And I'm telling you, Tucker, as sure as I'm sitting here, I think that he is going to make America great again. And if you thought America was great already, then okay, he's going to make America even greater.
Well, they didn't just make fun of him.
There's me and Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago many years ago. I bet that was 20 years ago. I've known Donald for a good 25 years.
Has he changed?
No. He has always been a gentleman. He's always been a kind man. He has always been the kind of guy, when you walk down the street with him, he would shake hands with a hard hat, with a cop. This is long before he ever talked about running for president. He is a kind, decent family man. He's got great kids. Yeah. I've known 2 of his wives. He's a terrific, I love the guy. That's why I love his family. And there I am on the back of his plane, because we used to fly to Mar-a-Lago with him when my then husband was his lawyer for many years. So every weekend we'd fly down to Mar-a-Lago. That's not my then husband. That's his bodyguard, Matt. And I was on the back of the plane with Matt one time. But I used to heat up the meatloaf because Donald, the president, loves meatloaf. So he'd bring it on the plane from Mar-a-Lago, and I'd heat it up. He'd tell me, Janine, heat it up in the microwave. I'd heat up the meatloaf and give it to Donald.
He's not a complex culinary guy.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not
What's his favorite food?
No, he just loves good food.
He loves
people. He's a good man.
So in 20 seconds, you've seen him recently. I know you talked to him. Is he ready for tomorrow?
He is so ready. He is so on this. He is so willing and ready and on top of his game. He is going to, you know, they talk about hitting the ground running.
Yes.
This guy has hit the ground and he's already off it.
I want to thank you for making our set one stop on your campaign across Washington. You were like Sherman through Atlanta. It's unbelievable, except you're improving our city. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Tucker.
Great to see you. Be sure to watch, you already do, Justice with Judge Janine, Saturday, 9 p.m. She'll be having an Inauguration Week special Sunday night, also at 9. Miss it at your peril. Coming up next, more of our continuous inauguration coverage here in Washington, D.C., the city you pay for.